How did you accidentally discover your kink/fetish? The earliest I can remember was seeing Catwoman tied up on a conveyor belt watching Batman the animated series growing up. I was watching my morning cartoons while getting ready for school in like 4th grade or something. Boza had Princess Peach tied up and on a machine with a wheel of feathers tickling her feet. I'm pretty sure that woke up like 7 different fetishes in me. I was a Boy Scout when my ex-wife found out. She asked me to bring home some rope. Now I like bondage. Back in high school, my boyfriend at the time were each other's firsts. About 95% of our ex took place in the backseat of his parents' SUV because he had a license and I shared a bedroom with my sister growing up. We were fooling around one night and he wanted to see how far up his hand could go inside. We tried it. Didn't know I'd be into fisting, but it really fills you up. 2. Same guy, but a few years later, we had broken up but still slept together regularly and I thought we'd be getting back together eventually. All of a sudden he tried a new move of completely pinning me down so I couldn't move while he was going down on me. Somehow the restraint made it even hotter. Until I found out that he learned that move from sleeping with someone else a few days before, and it kind of ruined that for me at the same time. When I was studying at the university, a friend and I were talking about sleeping patterns and I mentioned I had a hard time staying in bed if I didn't fall asleep. She jokingly mentioned that she should tie me down to the bed so I couldn't leave. I laughed it off and said she'd never dare to do that, but lo and behold, one night when I was dozing off at a house party I found myself constrained to the bed and found it surprisingly arousing. Nothing ever happened between us, but a fetish was born that night. I was doing clinicals at the year and an attractive football player came in with a broken clavicle. Seeing him in pain awakened something in me. Was drunk one night in college and an older full-figured woman at the bar I was talking to said, "You're cute, but I don't know if you can handle me." I pretty much told her to do her worst. Went home with her and had the most intense orgasm of my life till that point. Actually ended up hooking up with her on and off throughout my senior year. She was single but had business all over the country, so it was sort of a whenever she wanted it kind of thing. Learned that I'm into slightly older, full-figured, and very sexually dominant women. Let me tell you guys, this has been an extremely difficult fetish to fulfill on an even remotely consistent basis. I was 14 or so, jumping on a trampoline with one of my close girlfriends. We laid down after bouncing around for a while and she put her feet on me and then started playing around and putting them in my face. My shorts elastic waistband was really put to the test that day. A trampoline kink. It has its ups and downs. I used to have this beat up button shirt that I'd wear around the house. Would drive my wife nuts. To be fair, it wasn't practical or presentable in any way. Just something I'd put on around the house. One morning, my wife is taking the other beat up clothes and cutting them into rags for cleaning. She sees me in my button trash shirt and tells me I need to get rid of it. Make me, I reply. She walks over to where I was sitting, straddles me, and gives me an intense kiss. As she did this, she grabbed my shirt with both hands and pulled, the button snapping off and flying across the room. The sound of the fabric giving way and the feeling of it tearing against my skin. Boona City. She pulled away and looked excited and elated. She was now the naughty girl who ruined my clothes, and I was too caught up in how damn sexy she was primly ripping my clothes off. So apparently my kink is clothes shredding. We keep something a little too worn in our dresses for every now and then. Problem is now I'm at work thinking about it. Shit, Boona City again. When I roomed with a 6'4" college hockey player cross-playing as Madoka Kaname for an Anin convention, and realized he had more fun with that than the sport he'd been playing for years. I needed help overcoming minor dyslexia in my early years. In 3rd grade I stayed after school 3 times a week to work with a teacher. I didn't quite piece this all together at the time, but she was young, 20 something, and very attractive. She would always, and I mean always, be wearing boots. Ankle boots. shin high boots, knee high boots, over the knee boots, leather, suede, black, brown. So my first experience spending regular time with a woman alone, other than my mother, was with an attractive teacher who was in boots helping me with reading and grammar. My young brain must have fused an association between boots and time spent with an attractive woman. Boot fetish? Check. Teacher fetish? Check. Reading/grammar fetish? Not so much. So, I was with my boyfriend at the time and he asked if I wanted to go to the library at our high school, which was code for let's go mess around. I agreed and went with him, but that day he was in a really shitty mood, so when he started kissing me, he wrapped his hand around my neck and started choking me. I actually moaned, and he chuckled and started calling me his dirty little smut while squeezing my tits. Normally he was gentle, and it turned me on, but by the time we left that day my knees were weak, and I was ducking wet as hell. Came home early, and walked in on my boyfriend wearing one of my skirts and dark eyeliner, sitting in a chair in our bedroom, tying his combat boots. He's a really tall guy, about 6 feet 3 inches, and I'm 5 feet 4 inches, so the pleated skirt that was knee length on me looked nearly mini on him, and the way he was sitting to tie his boots, I could see up the skirt a bit. I have to say that before this our relationship was on the rocks. We were vanilla in bed and we'd been feeling a lot of distance from each other, and it came through physically in every way. So it was a very hard time in our relationship. Anyway, I was in the doorway and froze. He saw me and froze, and out of a tornado of completely confusing feelings crystallized something like, I don't know, like a massive painful crush? Almost like I was seeing someone in person that was way out of my league, and like it was painful that I would never get a chance with them. I can't describe it better than that. And physically too, I was so turned on it actually hurt my body. I'd never once thought twice about men in drag, had never responded in any way at all to it, hadn't fantasized, it just wasn't on my radar. Seeing him in that skirt and boots with eyeliner was like a tidal wave, not just physical but also emotional, and I cannot believe I never had any idea that feeling was inside of me. Unreal how strong it was. Also, as a happy ending, our relationship turned around that day. It was like this part of him was the part one needed in him, and expressing it and having me love that side of him was what was missing for him, because we've been together for years since that day, and I can't imagine another man looking so hot in my clothes and making the earth move for me like that. I slipped and fell into a leather jumpsuit. I was browsing Google with a buddy back in like 2002. We didn't get to use the internet much, so we thought Google was the bee's knees, and we decided to search up duct tape. We had rolls and rolls of the stuff to make roses and wallets and whatnot. We were obsessed with duct tape. One image we came across was an erotic image of a woman tied up and gagged with tape. Bondage prune. He largely ignored it, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. I don't recall exactly how I was able to, but eventually I was able to use a PC alone and unattended. I searched up half a dozen bondage pronoun images and printed them off. I fapped to the same printed images an embarrassing amount of times. I'm glad technology has allowed me to follow my fetish easily. I couldn't imagine trying to find fetish prune pre-internet. Had to hope you had a creepy uncle that had a stash of bondage prune tucked away behind the third brick from the left near the fireplace. So before I tell this story, I wanna say, I'm fine. It wasn't traumatic, I'm not in denial, and I don't feel pressured by society to man up/get over it. I was hooking up with a girl I wasn't very attracted to. She was really into me, and I just needed to get laid. Problem was I couldn't stay hard. I was pretty embarrassed, maybe for her, maybe for myself. I just felt really awkward and wanted to leave. She was still trying though, grinding on top of me. I said I'm really sorry, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think I should go. I start to get up and sort of nudge her off me, but she wasn't having it. She put her hands on my chest and pushed me back down. So I'm just laying there while she continues grinding on my limp penis. Then I thought, I stated I want to stop, but she's continuing. Yeah, no, this is kinda rappy. Then before I knew it, I was rock hard. I felt like a piece of meat, like just a tool she was using to get her jollies with no regard for my comfort, and I loved it. It's a weird story, I know. Some will probably say problematic, but it's true, and I honestly feel fine about it. I saw a woman's ass and thought, my face needs to be there. Wrestling with a female cousin at age 12, and she sat on my face briefly. I guess there are far more difficult fetishes to have, but it's still kinda inconvenient. Grew up very conservative Catholic, and knew looking up pornography or girls having sex was wrong. Still wanted to see naked girls, but since they weren't real people, cartoon porn wasn't a sin, right? And hentai. Watched porn for the first time. Clicked BDSM/fetish. It was a wild ride. Was seeing someone for a while when I told her she deserved a spanking. Took her over my knee, jeans, and panties off, and gave her 20 good smacks on both cheeks. When she got up she was breathing hard and there was a sizable wet spot on my thigh. Light BDSM became part of our lives thereafter. I went to the library to pick a book for a report back in grade 7. The one I picked was about a girl who travels back in time. Something about it stood out to me. While reading it, I got to a scene where she is forced to get her hair cut. Reading it made me feel oddly aroused, so I kept reading it over and over. It was then that I discovered my uncommon fetish. Time travel? Was hooking up with this guy for the first time and he choked me in bed. Learned real fast how much I enjoyed that. Current boyfriend doesn't like the whole choking thing. He's too scared of hurting me or causing damage despite me telling him how to properly do it. A girl sat on my face all of a sudden and told me to get to work. If you liked this video, don't forget to smash the like button. For more hits and giggles, subscribe.